What really happened behind the scenes of one of Hollywood's most anticipated romantic dramas? And why are two of its biggest names now preparing for a courtroom showdown that could expose everything? Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni just spent 6 hours behind closed doors in a Manhattan courthouse. No cameras, no statements, no smiles for the press. When they walked out, there was no handshake, no resolution, just silence. And that silence might be louder than any headline. This wasn't a casual meeting. It was a last-ditch, court-ordered attempt to stop a trial that's now set to explode in May. Nearly $900 million in combined lawsuits hang over this fight. Accusations of reputation destruction, claims of manipulation, counterclaims of extortion, and even Ryan Reynolds has been pulled into the storm. But here's what makes this different from a typical Hollywood dispute. Both sides are betting their careers on what happens next. Because once this case hits trial, private messages could surface, production decisions could be dissected, and the public may finally learn what truly went down during It Ends With Us. And the deeper you look into the story, the messier it gets. 6 hours. That's how long Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni sat inside a lower Manhattan courthouse this week, separated in different rooms, surrounded by lawyers, while a judge moved back and forth trying to broker pace. This wasn't a casual conversation. It was a court-ordered settlement conference, essentially the last serious attempt to stop this case from detonating in open court. Judges don't schedule these unless both sides are close enough to at least consider compromise. But by the end of the day, there was nothing. No agreement, no partial deal, not even a hint of progress. Reporters waited outside as the doors finally opened. Lively walked out without a word. Baldoni and his wife followed, also silent. The tension was obvious, but the details of what happened inside remained sealed. Then came the line that raised eyebrows. When asked whether talks would continue, Baldoni's attorney said he's looking forward to trial. Looking forward. That's not the language of someone hoping for quiet resolution. It's the language of someone ready to fight in public. The trial is scheduled for May 18th. After more than a year of legal back and forth, both sides had one final opportunity to settle this quietly. Instead, they walked away. And if settlement talks failed after 6 straight hours behind closed doors, that suggests neither side is backing down. But this courtroom standoff didn't just appear out of nowhere. To understand why compromise seems impossible now, you have to go back to where it all started and what Blake Lively first claimed was happening behind the scenes. It started quietly, not with a press conference, but with paperwork. In December 2024, Blake Lively filed a formal complaint with the California Civil Rights Department. At the center of it were serious allegations tied to her time working on It Ends With Us. In her filing, Lively accused Justin Baldoni of inappropriate behavior on set and claimed the environment became hostile during production. But the accusations didn't stop there. According to her complaint, Lively alleged that after tensions escalated, Baldoni and his production company, Wayfarer Studios, were involved in what she described as a coordinated effort to damage her reputation. Her lawsuit later referred to it as a social manipulation campaign, language that immediately grabbed attention across Hollywood. In her New York filing, she doubled down. The lawsuit sought $500 million in damages and included claims of what her team described as retaliatory astroturfing. That term, rarely seen in celebrity disputes, implies an organized attempt to influence public perception through manufactured narratives. Lively's legal team framed the situation as more than a personal conflict. They suggested it was about power, control, and the consequences of speaking up. Baldoni and his attorneys strongly denied the allegations. Online, reactions split quickly. Some fans rallied behind Lively, praising her for taking legal action. Others questioned what was really happening behind the scenes. It's important to note that these are allegations, and the court has not ruled on the merits of her claims. Still, once a $500 million lawsuit hits the headlines, there's no containing it. And Baldoni wasn't about to let that narrative stand uncontested. What he did next turned this from a one-sided accusation into an all-out legal war. If anyone expected Justin Baldoni to quietly defend himself and move on, that didn't happen. Not long after Lively's lawsuit became public, Baldoni fired back with a legal move that stunned even seasoned industry watchers. He filed a $400 million countersuit, and he didn't just name Blake Lively. He named Ryan Reynolds, too. In his filing, Baldoni accused Lively, Reynolds, and their publicist of extortion and defamation. He claimed he had been stripped of creative control over It Ends With Us and alleged that his reputation had been severely damaged by what he described as coordinated attacks on his character. His complaint painted a very different picture. Baldoni's team argued that he wasn't the aggressor, he was the one being pushed out. According to the filing, he felt robbed of authority over a project he had helped shape. Suddenly, this wasn't just a dispute between co-stars. It became a high-stakes war involving one of Hollywood's most powerful couples, and that changed the temperature completely. Online, speculation ignited. Some commentators suggested this might have been a clash over creative direction behind the scenes. Others wondered if studio politics were playing a role. To be clear, those theories remain unverified, but they fueled endless debate across social media. What made this countersuit especially explosive wasn't just the dollar amount, it was the tone. Baldoni's team signaled they were prepared to fight publicly, not quietly settle. For months, the narrative shifted back and forth like a pendulum. Each legal filing introduced new accusations, each statement contradicted the last. And just as it seemed like the battle might drag on indefinitely, a federal judge made a decision that changed the balance of power almost overnight. Then came a ruling that no one could ignore. A federal judge in New York dismissed Justin Baldoni's $400 million countersuit. Just like that, one half of this legal war collapsed. The claims against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist were thrown out. And when Baldoni chose not to refile an amended version, that chapter officially closed. For many watching from the outside, it looked like a major blow. Legal analysts noted that dismissal at that stage signals weaknesses in a case. Supporters of Lively argued it validated her position. Critics of Baldoni questioned whether his aggressive counterattack had backfired. Of course, dismissal doesn't automatically mean every allegation was false. It simply means the court found the claims insufficient as filed. But perception in Hollywood can move faster than legal nuance. And perception matters. With the countersuit gone, the focus snapped back to Lively's $500 million claims. Suddenly, instead of two sides firing equally powerful shots, the spotlight narrowed. Baldoni went from counter-plaintiff to solely defending himself in a high-profile case. Industry insiders began whispering about optics. Some speculated whether the dismissal weakened his leverage in settlement talks. Others argued it might push him to fight even harder at trial to clear his name. Those interpretations remained speculation, but they added fuel to an already blazing narrative. Behind the scenes, both sides stayed publicly silent. No dramatic interviews, no social media rants, just lawyers speaking through filings. But even without public statements, something had clearly shifted. Because once one lawsuit disappears, the battlefield changes. And instead of slowing down, this conflict only grew more intense, turning into something that feels less like a legal disagreement and more like a war over reputation itself. This stopped being just a legal fight a long time ago. Because in Hollywood, reputation is currency. And both sides have essentially accused the other of trying to bankrupt it. In Lively's filings, she claimed there was a deliberate effort to damage her public image after tensions rose behind the scenes. Her lawsuit used phrases like social manipulation and retaliatory astroturfing, suggesting that negative narratives about her may not have been organic. Those are serious claims, and Baldoni's team has firmly denied them. But once a dollar amount gets leaked into a headline into such a surface, control becomes impossible. And fans began dissecting past interviews. Clips from the It Ends With Us press tour resurfaced. People pointed out moments where the cast appeared slightly distant. Awkward red carpet exchanges were replayed in slow motion. Some online users claimed they sensed tension months before the lawsuits were filed. It's important to say that those interpretations are speculative. Neither Lively nor Baldoni confirmed any press tour conflict at the time. But perception on social media doesn't wait for confirmation, and that's where this turned into something bigger than two actors. public opinion began to split. Supporters of Lively framed the case as a larger conversation about power dynamics in the industry. Supporters of Baldoni argued that he was being unfairly portrayed and that the dismissal of his countersuit didn't tell the whole story. Meanwhile, both actors remained almost completely silent. No lengthy Instagram explanations, no emotional sit-down interviews, just carefully worded legal responses through attorneys. That silence might be strategic, because in cases like this, anything said publicly can resurface in court. But here's the reality. Even without statements, reputations are being shaped in real time. Every headline adds weight, every rumor spreads faster.